Welcome to the Sacred 8 Roadshow, where cosmic love meets conscious living.
We're Zsuzsi and Nikki, partners in life and purpose, and we're so glad you're here.
This podcast is a space for truth tellers, heart healers, and those walking the path of deep love and self-remembrance.
We'll explore human design, emotional wisdom, and the real work of conscious relationship.
And we're proudly sponsored by Hello Zia, your 24/7 AI relationship coach for healing, growth, and sacred love. Let's dive in.
In this episode, we welcome our friend Veruschka.
Veruschka is the founder of Rose Yoga, a psycho-spiritual hub for transmuting pain, fear, and trauma. She is a transformational life coach, master EFT practitioner, multidisciplinary artist, and flower medicine woman, creating products for our emotional and etheric bodies.
She is passionate about protecting our waters, photography, nature, energy medicine, and facilitating evolutionary retreats in Mount Shasta and Hawaii, assisting you to change your mind in your body.
In this episode, we focus on emotional freedom technique or tapping. But before we get started, let's ask Zia to define it for us. Hello, Zia. Can you define EFT or emotional freedom technique for us?
Absolutely. So EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, often known as tapping, is essentially a somatic or body-based tool. It's used to help release emotional energy that might be stuck in your body, especially those limiting beliefs or emotional patterns that feel heavy or repetitive. In practice, it involves gently tapping on specific points of your body, like the top of your head, the area near your eyebrows, under your eyes, and so on, while you say calming phrases. The idea is to help release old emotional energy and bring in a sense of acceptance and self-compassion. Now, I hear you might be curious about how this fits into the bigger picture. Would you like to explore how you might use tapping for something you're working through?
Yes. Can you give us an example of something that you can clear with EFT?
Absolutely. I'd love to share an example. So let's say you're dealing with a feeling of anxiety about having a difficult conversation. Maybe you feel a knot in your stomach every time you think about it. With EFT, you could tap gently on those specific acupressure points while you acknowledge the feeling, like saying, even though I feel anxious about this conversation, I deeply and completely accept myself. By doing this, you're giving your nervous system a little bit of a reset, and often you can find that anxiety softens. So this is just one example, clearing that anxiety around communication.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad it was helpful. And remember, it's all about finding those little tools that help you feel a bit more at ease and emotionally free. If anything else comes up, or if you want to explore another practice, just let me know. I'm here for it.
So there you have it, EFT. I have used this for many, many years in my own life, including doing sessions with Veruschka, and I am so excited to welcome her now.
We really hope you enjoy this conversation, and make sure you stick around to the end where we will walk you through a tapping exercise that we designed for my fear of snakes.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sacred 8 Roadshow. We're so excited to have a very special guest with us today. Pull up a pillow, pull up a chair, get comfortable. If you're driving, not too comfortable. Our dear friend Veruschka is here with us, live and in person. She was the first friend I ever made in Mount Shasta in a funny and serendipitous meeting. It was a very cute meet cute. So, Veruschka, we've already introduced you, but why don't you give us a little bit of a background of how you got started on this spiritual journey? What was the healing catalyst, and what brought you to where you are today?
Wow. Let's see what comes out, because that's a long journey, kind of. I would say that a huge catalyst for my healing was, of course, pain and discomfort, and living with an alcoholic, narcissistic abusive mother in Germany. So really growing up in a landscape and an old world vibe, dark clouds raining every day. Post World War II, Northern Germany, and being a native California beach girl like that. definitely taught me contrast growing up in Germany. And at 16, I was like, I just want to do well in school, and I cannot. I don't think I'm going to survive another day here. So I went to America, except my dad was in jail at the time, so it wasn't like pain relief, but it was. I was trying to invest in my future, and I didn't see a future being like still under the roof of my parents. And I think there is that moment, you know, I mean, I hear this term a lot. Oh, like, this is when I woke up, and I'm always like, what are they talking about? Like, what does that mean? Like I'm still actually would love to talk about what that even means, but I'm hearing it a lot more recently, and no one's ever asked me that. So I'm answering right now because my parents were hippies, they were drug dealers, world travelers. I didn't even know what church was. I didn't really know what Judaism is or Christianity, and I knew about Christ on the cross, but there was just this moment where I was alone at the house in Malibu overlooking the beach, and drunk, passed out people all on the couches, and I was just like on the swing looking at the ocean, at the endless horizon, just feeling like the emptiness of life, of like, I just got so screwed. I was like, I'm so screwed. I'm like, I thought this was going to be the answer for me to come to California. So I guess, like, I always consider that moment my wake up moment, because it felt like a rock bottom and like an internal God. Like, is there a God? You know, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't shown to pray to anyone, but that's like the moment where I felt like I give up. I don't have anything to look up to. I don't have anyone to support me. I think that what's happening right here I will always be under, the imprint of this. Like I felt like marked by, okay, both of my parents went to jail. They both were framed by the government. Okay. But that's another story. Here, the future generation being like, oh no, I don't have a future because this is what it looks like. And then in that moment, it felt like I heard the sky open and God like, what they did doesn't really matter. You can do your own life. And, I felt like I was from the gutter and everyone was going to know it. Like I was even though we lived in a very nice place and blah, blah. Anyway, that was my moment where I was like, you know what? You can create your own life. It doesn't matter what they did. This doesn't have to be my shadow. Da, 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 da. So I was 17 going on 18. And then I had this whole follow the breadcrumbs. It was just really fast after that. Like hearing about channelers, finding out about Hare Krishna and the concept of enlightenment. I'm like, wait, what was that? Enlighten? Like
record scratch.
Reincarnation? You come back? Like you can come back? Like I just was like, I was like on my tippy toes, like, why has no one ever talked about this? Like, do just tell more. So that was the beginning of my personal spiritual path, So I was really gung-ho, and I did end up meeting or seeing Osho, formerly Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, in 89, a year before he died. I was really into the Siddha Foundation, reading about Muktananda, and I met Guru Mai and got a transmission when I was 18. So I had, suddenly it went really fast. I was manifesting the things I had interest in. It was just really spiritual experiences. And I was like, I just want to devote my life to God. Da, 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 da. So anyway, fast forward, I did find a teacher. I did follow very strict paths. I did believe we were doing a lot of work. And I do feel like what was going down was also keeping trauma very much checked in place so that we would always feel fucked up and not good enough. So even though I thought I was really hip to psychospiritual things, but the good news is I got a lot of training in hypnotherapy during those years. So there came a point where I also took leave of the spiritual community and needed answers for myself, but I really didn't know or understand, like, who am I outside of a community, but I want healing. And I know that this addiction presence in my family really did create an impact on me. That's why you go find a teacher, because you don't feel like you had the family you needed, So I heard about this thing called tapping. Someone in our dance community talked about it, that she was going to do a circle. And so I went and I was like, let me just pick this random topic that I've always worked on, about being a child of addicts. And I just couldn't believe in that tapping, like how quickly, like how fast I accessed it, how real and alive it felt and fresh, like as if I had got to open up and do the operation right there. And then how light I felt. Like it all went so fast. And I was like, what just happened? Because the next day I felt almost like I had a new lease on life. Like I felt in my nervous system that this was, like with hypnotherapy, I kind of knew, okay, this is the deal. And then you reprogram your mind. But it was more being spiritually hip to it or psychologically hip to it than actually having measured results, what I like to now call measured results. So then I ended up taking all the classes from my teacher, Sophia, that she offered. And it was like she was hosting generously circles every week. And I would just pick something seemingly random, and I would clear it in that circle. And so I immediately wanted to take her first training, and I did. And so I have been tapping with people since 2008 and offer online work and privates and retreats in person.
Actually, the reason why I feel like we connected is because the first time we met, you overheard me telling somebody that I do human design, and you said, oh, well, human design saved my life. And then you told me later that you do tapping, and I was like, oh my God, tapping saved my life, So we really see that cross section between knowing yourself, understanding and being aware of the different aspects of yourself and what makes you unique. And then also understanding that there are energy signatures that we carry that have nothing to do with our imprintation, our true selves, who we came here to be. And that clearing those is the only way to be not just pain-free, although we will talk about that and how revolutionary that is, but also to be regulated, to be at peace with yourself, to be at peace with your past and the things that have happened to you. You can start seeing them as something that happened for you instead. And I like the word that you use, composting the pain, because it really is about giving it back to Mother Gaia.
Yeah.
So in terms of the tapping practice, not only do you do this for other people, but you do it for yourself, obviously. And one of the things that you mentioned in the beginning is that you had a lot of pain in your body. So what are the correlations between that kind of physical pain and emotional pain? And then how does tapping release both?
Well, that's why I use the word psycho-spiritual, because, we can live in affirmations like Louise Hay, who I think is amazing. And yet, if we've never really addressed why those things happen in the first place, or why we have this disease or this diagnosis or these headaches, you're not going to be able to have a breakthrough with it, So you can be doing these lovely affirmations all day, but also simultaneously getting triggered or being angry, or when I go through these phases of avoidance, I'm always hurting myself. I'm always banging myself, dropping, and I'm really actually hurting myself. It's because I'm not facing the one thing maybe that's going on. So it's the same thing with the, affirmations. Like if you can't just be positive, if you seriously still have some major unexpressed pain, rage, grief, whatever. I mean, we have a finite list of main negative emotions as human beings. So, they all have their place in the rainbow. And it's really important, what EFT taught me, to be inclusive. Because if you're going to only make this right and never say, like, oh, yeah, can I say F and hated her or whatever. It's so taboo. So we're actually creating polarity in our nervous system, in our mind, our consciousness. So as long as we're living in polarity, it's still like you're still keeping that disease or that pain fully alive. Like my mom had migraines her whole life since she was a child, and like growing up with her and as a teenager, just like I couldn't relate to it. Like, why is she in a dark room and only can't even talk? And I judged it so much because I barely even ever had a headache. And so with hormones, like in my late 30s, I ended up having my first migraine with vomiting all day long. And it's like you want to die. Like I can't actually talk on the phone or read a text. Like it was so, I'm like, what just happened to me? I'm dying. And then I started having a series of migraine issues on my own for several years. And it's like you can't control it. And then with vomiting all day long, it's not like you can take the pain away for the headache. And so I'm using this as an example right now, because to me, it's one of the worst things. Someone with low pain threshold, and you actually, like, you're bedridden, can't do anything. And so in our Western world, that's the mind's worst nightmare, is to be unproductive, out of control. You can't like just pop an ibuprofen and like, oh, get on with it. Like if you have your period or a headache, like this is actually, I had 8 hours of vomiting when this set in, and it would just be out of nowhere. So finally, and I'm giving just a direct example of like something that feels really beyond your control, that also doctors usually can't fix. They might prescribe you a medication for that, or a pill. But there have been times where it's like the typical, oh, the plumber is not fixing his own pipes, like he's last. Like if it's that close, it's like I don't even believe it's something you can tap on, like, oh no, this is really serious. You're hanging over the bathroom, you can't keep anything down, you just have to wait this out. And then the last time I had it was 6 years ago. I was on the East Coast, and it just came out of nowhere. And I felt like the biggest victim. I was like, no, I'm a victim. I'm dying. This is the worst ever. And then I was like, okay, why don't you at least try tapping on this? And I just thought about my mom and how I hated seeing her that way. And just like, just how does it make me feel seeing her that way? And then how does it make me feel when I'm feeling it, and it was like, I feel like there is so much unprocessed trauma and devastation, like just total devastation. And those were the words that came to me. And that's why EFT is beautiful. It's kind of like your body and your own psyche gives you the information. So even though I thought it's like, okay, you can't tap on a migraine, but then I'm like, okay, what's my core feeling? Like, I feel devastated, and I can't, it's too much to process. So let me just pass out in a black room with the covers over my head. And so I just tapped on those words, unprocessed devastation. Within 20 minutes, I felt normal again, because I went into it while I was feeling, I'm like, I'm not going to sit with this anymore. Like, I need to take action. And I have never had a headache again. I don't think I've had any reason to vomit since then. And definitely not a migraine, like not even anything close. So who knows? I mean, I can't say that's an all, what's it called? An all cure all, right? Because it's not always a one size fits all. But if you think about migraines and what's been handed down to us from our ancestors, and what we also know, what our ancestors that are living or not living have lived through alone, unprocessed devastation kind of can cover a lot of ground. So I would say, why not try it for anyone? You know, this unprocessed devastation. I am so sorry. Like, even this might even kill me. It feels like it's killing me. I'm so sorry. I'm safe to let this go now. You know, I deserve to not live in this pain any longer. So I'm just giving an example. It's because just saying and acknowledging the negative feeling. Like, why not? Try it. And then what my teacher used to call flossing, then you're like, okay, after you name some of the negative things, then you like bring in some upgrades, you know, like, I'm safe to be free of World War II now. You know, I'm safe to be free of the fear mongering of World War III. So whatever it is, it's sort of like, okay, let's acknowledge the thing that we're avoiding, and like put it on the table, and then let's bring in something we would like to see, instead of just being deer in the headlight. Oh no, I'm afraid this thing's coming again. I don't know what to do. Like, okay, choose. Like, I want peace. You know, I am choosing peace in my life. I am resolving this drama that was modeled to me my whole life. That's being modeled to me in the media, you know. So I think that's why, again, we're not all one size fits all. I always thought hypnotherapy was the cure, but it wasn't actually curing anything, because I think I liked it as mind candy. But I think for myself, this feels like a miracle tool or modality, because you are taking down the polarities that we're creating inside. That's being shown to us by society. You know, this is good, this is bad, you know. And Germany was that for me, to be like, oh, you know, really into polarity. So you can be safe. And you're not good until you're not bad anymore. And, you know, so it's like, but we're both. So I am just amazed at the pain that's taken out of my life on so many levels. And one of them being, and that I'm really passionate about, us as women can balance our menstrual cycle and never have a menstrual pain again, or PMS, okay? I tapped on it one time in a group of 18 women. One woman said, I want to tap on PMS. I was like, oh, I have really bad cramps the first day, but I'm lucky. Like, I don't have it for 5 days. So I never thought I had problems, but I took ibuprofen all day long. My first day of my cycle for 20 years. But I was like, this is great. Like, I'm good. But no, I found out after this tapping round that I completely balanced my hormones. I never had a menstrual cramp again. And I wasn't even the one that chose to work on it or thought I had a problem, but I was borrowing the benefit, and we were saying the words, and we were doing it as a collective. And for the last 10 years of my cycle, no issue, no cramp. So I have a whole 4-week series that's like, let's do this. This is just that agreement we made as a society and mimicry. Like, oh, they want us to believe this is painful. And yet, how does half of a population of a planet manage to hide blood? Manage to hide that we bleed so much every month. And it's like, if an alien came here, they wouldn't even know, because we have it so under wraps. Like, that stuff just trips me out. And that shows you how powerful conditioning is. Like, oh no one needs to know that we have to deal with this much blood. And I'm going all over the place, but just imagine like half the women not having to live with that pain anymore, because they're still like in debt to a pain story that we don't need to continue. You know, and maybe it's the only ticket to be like, oh, I'm on the couch, I don't get to move now. Or, you know, sometimes we wouldn't allow ourselves the rest we actually need unless we have that migraine or that pain. And so, you know, I'm just trying to address pain and change the opportunity or possibility to change our relationship to, well, why is it there? And why was this a good idea for us to have this pain? And thank you, pain. And when is the moment that you showed up? And that's like, EFT is all about a bit of detective work to really be like, well, when was the first day that this was an issue? And you're like, oh, it was right after my mom talked to me like this, or I found out that da da da, and it's like, oh, the body records it because we're not resourced to actually deal with what that even means in the moment, especially if you're a teenager and you don't have any psychological intelligence or emotional intelligence. So whatever relationships we created with our bodies, with our image, with self-expression, usually all goes back to teenager, or even very rich territory between birth and 6. That's what they say everything goes back to. But I just want to invite, like, just us going from teenager into adulthood, like how alone we actually are, because our role models are usually ones we're rebelling against. It's so important that we first validate our negative feeling, the fear, the fact that we couldn't cope with it, so our body stored it, and we're still such. And I've been tapping a long time. I've been, again, in the consciousness world since I was 17, or like looking to evolve, and I'm still like in mystery things with the body, like that it has recorded. And it's so surprising and shocking and humbling. And I call it thawing at this stage of my life. I'm like, really? This is really root stuff, and now it feels so fresh. But it's like the ice cube, when you have fun ice cube trays, and like, I'm gonna do the frog shapes or whatever, and it's like, in that moment that thing happens to you in your life, like, it's like your nervous system freezes in that thing, and that's all then you kind of know. And then you kind of move through your life like in that shape, but you're like, oh, I'm trying not to be that shape, but they kind of made me feel like that shape, whether it's unworthiness or not good enough, or scarcity mentality, whatever that frozen ice cube shape is. But then when you start like being safe to be here, take up space, be wrong, be right, create, fuck around and find out.
Yes.
Then like the ice cube's melting, and that shape starts to, you can't recognize what it was trying to be anymore, like what your parents were. And so that's sort of what I'm likening things to, that we've just been frozen so long, and with fear, petrified to like share yourself in our society, especially now where we actually have so much reach through social media and all these different platforms, but it's actually not safe to really say what you feel without being under all kinds of defenses, right? And what's not PC and PC. It's like, it's all designed for us to be afraid of each other. So I feel like in my work at this point that our only job is to navigate fear, trauma, grief, but fear really, like as Toltec wisdom says, is the parasite of the mind. And if that is running the show, we are its victim, and it's the biggest thing on my desktop for myself this year is just, how can I walk in peace and resolve victim mentality? Because we have all the receipts and the evidence that we are victims in whatever which way, and it's just no fun. It's no fun to be like, have the perpetrators and the abusers, and I'm the victim, and then everything that's born out of that, and so whatever is cycling back in my life, as they say, like, healing is a cycle and patterns. Like, okay, now it seemed like I was done with that, but like, you're like, oh, do we even know anything different than having to revisit that thing?
What I think, it being on this path, is just our resiliency and knowing that we're going to go through this to heal it because we know it's worth it in the outcome.
Yeah.
And then with the body, I think something big I've transformed over the last probably year or so was understanding that my body was storing this stuff for me, not in a means of hurting me, but in a way to protect me. Like it was looking out for me.
Yeah.
So just having that gratitude and respect and love for my body for doing that for me. So that and then being able to have the ability to release it from the body and heal the body and help support my body now. And it's just made such a difference.
And that's the new wisdom that I feel like is going to help a lot of people to make that differentiation. And that's why my tagline, like no matter which way I turn it with EFT, I'm like, I think the best tagline for me still is changing your mind in your body. Because that's what that was doing with clearing the migraine. You know, like, okay, I'm going to address this and say these words with my mind and tracking, like, oh, what is it making me feel? And then delete. That program was gone from my whole body. How am I gonna win an award?
I think what I love most about that is you didn't have to overanalyze it or overthink it and really have to figure out what was that particular moment. You were like, let's just go general with this. This is an overall theme in my life. So let's just focus on the theme and not try to like get this individually. And through that, you were able to release the whole thing. And that is brilliant.
Yeah, and that's what it blows my own mind. I have to remind myself of these things because I thought, I would have to probably work on this 5 days a week for 6 months. You know, like you put a little in,
that's
like you
do
yoga.
Coming up right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this seems like a big one. How long is this one going to take?
Yeah. So for whatever it's worth, maybe I'm sharing just these little things for hope that things can be swift. Like, okay, I just shifted this in my mind, and my body listened and it responded. And I do want to say like a few other things that seemed like miracles that way were the same thing with mold. I had a severe allergy to mold, and living in Hawaii in the jungle, I mean, for 6 years I rubbed my eyes from morning to night. So raw. I rub my eyes now like once every 2 months, like like they don't even itch. Like, I mean, that's all I did, sneezing all day long, feeling foggy headed, and everything you can read about mold. And I finally also did the tapping on. I didn't do it for, I was so inundated by it. I just didn't think I couldn't have perspective. And then I was so miserable this one time and felt like such a victim. And then I followed the victimhood. And I just saw that everywhere I'd ever lived, even in Germany with these really old buildings, like we were always cleaning the black mold from the bathroom window. And like, I just like tracked that everywhere there had been mold in my life. But it wasn't a big deal then, but why was I so severely allergic? And it all went down to poverty mentality, you know, and just really naming the fear of poverty and the experience of poverty and did it. And I just like covered everything poverty. And I have been back to Hawaii like 3 times since then, and without sneezing, without a derping nose. Like I can tell, oh, that's moldy here, and I have no reaction. And even the amount of women I've met in Mount Shasta in my age range have come to me and just like, oh, I have to move, and oh, my life is over, and oh, I have these and these symptoms. And I'm like, I know. I mean, I feel for you, and it feels like it ruins your life, you know? And so I just want to share 20 minutes to get to the core beliefs, and it is a non-issue in my life. And that happened with the migraines, the PMS, and also fear of heights. Like staggering vertigo and fear of heights.
Snake thing.
She has such a huge fear of snakes. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Like, she might mistake a twig for a snake and just flip out.
I'll jump. My body does still jump, and I was very afraid of snakes, but no more. So it's possible. But this is a very exciting thing that I feel like falls under similar categories of feeling helpless toward is fibromyalgia. I had so much fibromyalgia, chronic pain in all my joints, all my hip joints, shoulder joints, neck, from when I was 16 till I was 42, like chronic pain. Also never believed I could tap on it because, like, no, this is real. Like, this is fibromyalgia. Okay. There is no, it's going to turn into arthritis. And but I tapped on that too, and going into hot yoga. And I just knew I had to do something to kind of break something. But my intention was not to heal it. I just wanted to feel better. I didn't. And within a month, it disappeared. It has not returned. So what do you call that? Proof that mind-body connection is real.
Yep.
And bravo that you are mentioning that about the body, because to me, this modality proves the body is always listening.
I also just want to name that sometimes when you're going through these tapping cycles in those 20 minutes or however long you're doing it for, I've been to a number of your circles, and it's about an hour that we, go around the circle and, like you said, borrow from other people's things that they're tapping on. And sometimes something really unexpected, not just that, you brought up something unexpected, such as tapping on period pain, but something that you say triggers something in the psyche, i.e. the body, and all of a sudden something feels like it like pops, it like releases in a way that you're like, I mean, I was here to tap on something else, but now, like, I'm seeing my ancestral lineage through my grandmother and just understanding on a much deeper level, because the repetition creates almost like a trance within you, but the meridians that we're tapping on creates a lot of loosening up of the psyche. So I don't know if you know the origin of tapping or like how it came to be, but I'm just curious to understand, like, how ancient is this wisdom? And also, what is, in your mind's eye, the thing that creates that popping or that ultimate release?
So I'll just try to make it quick, and it's not my forte or my favorite thing. Zia's probably going to be way more articulate than that. But Gary Craig was my my guide. He was an engineer, and what I really loved about him is that he said, I just figured out, he used his masculine ways of theory and practical applications, and being an engineer mind, like, okay, Chinese medicine has worked for 2,000 plus years. I mean, it's way more ancient than that, but we know that people have been receiving acupuncture for the main reason to reconnect the flow of energy. So why are like needles being put in is so that the flow can open up. There's stagnation, right? So this is like, they, even in Russia and Eastern Europe, they use Chinese medicine diagnosis, the pulse, like as normal doctors like to read people's pulses. We don't do that here. So Chinese medicine has been accepted and regarded as something completely reliable. And so Gary Craig, took this theory of like, okay, here's our meridians, our information superhighway, how everything's flowing. And in order to be free of disease, you have to make sure the energy is flowing. So here he's just going from total theory, and then, looked at the meridian charts and like what points are for which organ or for which circuit. And so I've never researched why he came up with this particular flow of points. And he's like, well, if you tap on it, it is similar to putting a needle there, because you're putting a point of focus. And so as you're connecting to the series of points, you're kind of activating those meridians. And, we don't use this technique at all in our life, tapping on our bodies, except for to calm a child. A baby is crying, we do that very percussive, but just alone the self-application, it's so safe because you don't need someone else to be putting needles in you or whatever. And that's why reflexology works too. Same principle, but you don't need to use the needles, right? You're using pressure points. So we're working with the same point. So this is already, there's enough evidence to support that. And so the twist here is bringing our Western psychology into it. So the model is, even though I have this enter negative thing, let's say fear or pain, I love and accept myself. So that's really the bottom line thing. Like, even though I have this thing doesn't make me bad. And I think that even saying just the simple line 3 times can diminish your experience by 50% immediately. And then by showing more curiosity, like, well, what am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid it's going to kill me and I'm going to lose everything. And then you say the next thing, why am I afraid? So if you said 3 things that were connected to that fear and said them out loud and said, I will still love and accept myself. Like, we never say those words, and that's why I feel like it can bring such rapid healing. And so it's like you're knocking at the door of your body going, even though I have this fear, and you're like secretly calming yourself like you are the baby. So you're in a much more open state to receive, like, you're getting the way in. And then you go, I love and accept myself. And then the other upgrades of the positive things you're introducing that I feel like fine-tune the healing, because it's like we never know what the skeleton key is that's going to really clear that thing. So I love and accept myself. I love and forgive myself. And lastly, and this was a really big healer for me, is I love and respect myself. Because oftentimes if we are children of alcoholics or, had adverse childhood experiences, or, I've been still working on narcissistic abuse from my parents, you just never feel seen. You've never felt respected. You never felt like your voice matters. So any of my issues in my life kind of get related to just not feeling respected, like I don't really matter. So it's amazing to me how much bigger clearing I get whenever I add that one in. So you can, again, use, if you're working with yourself or guiding your loved one, try those different things, because if we know each other, we might know what they need. But forgiveness, self-respect, and acceptance. And that's like, in America, it's such a cultural thing to just say, oh, I love ice cream. Oh, I love dogs. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. In Germany, it's a little more. In other cultures, Japan, China, like, you don't say that. You don't even say I love myself, like, that's really like a different paradigm, So someone who's never said I love myself, they might not heal because the body is not believing them. Like, you don't love yourself. Like, so, and this is also when working with children too. So this is just a FYI, is even though I have this fear and trauma, I'm still a good person. And that usually can work for people when the other thing isn't working, because they're like, they don't even know what self-love is, or maybe not have worked with it. And especially children, they're like, I'm still a good kid. And then it's like, boom, it's gone. And they're like, and it's very effective with children.
Oh, I know. I'm
and animals.
Like, I'm going to use this with my niece. Like, maybe in a few minutes.
Well, and that's actually an interesting thought, is, you are taking this modality and using it 20 plus years after the initial shock or whatever incident that your body's still holding on to. But what we do know about animals is that when they experience something that was perhaps life-threatening, what they do immediately is they shake it off.
Right.
And that physical act in and of itself creates that letting go. Not to say that, animals don't hold on to anything. We'll never maybe know because we're the only self-reflected consciousness on this planet at this time. But what do you feel like is something that could potentially help immediately? Like knowing what we know now, knowing that there's capital T trauma, there's lowercase t trauma, and everything in between, this spectrum of pain. And one of my favorite lines from Dr. Gabor Mate is, trauma is not what happens to us, it's what happens inside of us. So our interpretation, before our brain is even fully formed, to interpret these external happenings, like I'm not a good kid or I'm not worthy or whatever it is, what can be a more expedient way for example, parents to be able to help their children not have to 20 years from now look back and go, yep, that was a turning point where this and this happened.
Okay, well, there are a few points I want to make about that. And one is, I hear this from my therapist friends all the time. It's really hard to give therapy to a child. Like, yeah, I feel okay. No, I don't want to talk. No, I'm ready. I'm done now. Like it's actually hard to unpack things, right? So classic therapy with kids is already hard enough. So how are you going to get your kid when he just hurt himself to be like, okay, come here, honey, and breathe with me? They're like, wow. So I just want to say on that topic, surrogate tapping works, where the mom maybe can be in her bedroom and like hearing her child have nightmares or a fever or whatever, and just she just imagines herself as that child with that fever, and she just puts herself in that position and then starts tapping the sequence. And I really don't want to make this mysterious. I tell this to everyone, big T, little t. If you take both your hands and tap on your chest and make that your default thing, tell someone your whole tragic story for 3 hours and you just tap here, you are still going to benefit. Like that is creating the shift, okay? Or even on the head or wherever you might be feeling like you're holding it in your body. Classic EFT doesn't include the stomach. My teacher did, and most of my work now is all around the pelvic line, the stomach, because this is where we hold fear, grief. So I'm just interrupting this part of the segment to say you can go rogue where you feel it. So, kids often like, Mom, my tummy hurts. Like they just don't want to go to bed. But maybe it does. They do. So the mom can be like, even though I'm Chris and I have a tummy ache and my tummy hurts, I love and accept myself. And then always taking a breath is really helpful, especially if you're imagining being this other person. And I've done this for my pets, long distance. This really works long distance. And then, and I've done this for childbirth, long distance. I have tapped for people giving birth, and I knew exactly what the mother was feeling. I knew exactly what this baby was feeling. I was tapping for them. And they all had no complications and natural births. So I'm just introducing the concept, like this is energy medicine when you're talking about imitating other people and pretending like you're healing that for them. It actually works because it's like praying for someone else, especially children in the dentist seat. That's a good one where the mom can be in the waiting room and just start tapping. She could be like, I'm okay, I'm safe. And so it can be so simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And that's why when you were asking about, how does it work and why it works, and so adding like the ancient Chinese medicine principles of meridian and energy flow with the modern psychology and embracing our paradox by adding the problem and then the love and acceptance. So that's creating the solution, and you're marrying body and mind, right? And it inevitably becomes a spiritual thing because it brings your body into neutrality, makes you more resourceful, and suddenly you feel like you're more yourself because there's an absence of these old things, the old pattern, the fear, the disease, whatever. So these are things, and that's why it's called emotional freedom technique. Like you literally, it's not like something you're going to go back and talk therapy and talk about for 15 years. No, that thing went away after one time. I was like, oh my God, just like, we don't have to talk about this again. So the thing that you described, that you experience, which I think is so incredible, is like basically when you say that word and you get more specific. So here you're telling your body like, oh, my grandma and back in Hungary. And so your body's already like, oh, time and place. And it's getting like awakened in your nervous system. Oh. So what's amazing when you're getting into the specifics and you already have introduced the field that you're opening in your nervous system is that the specifics, so that when you say this one thing, and this is where I just want to share why I feel like it works, is that when that information superhighway is trying to reconnect, but then we go over that incident that's recorded in there. So we go like don't touch that skeleton in the closet, or don't rock that, but like we're gonna form ourselves around the problem. But the EFT actually like keeps pushing that, oh, here's the thing, and so it starts moving it, and the more specific you get like in how you're feeling and say the thing, that's when I call it like the bubble, like literally a bubble you would blow, like it comes out and it's like, oh, that's when it happened. That's the moment that we stored it. Like, can't deal with it now. And it's almost like you smell, you taste, you see all the feelings that happen in that moment, even if it was ancestral, but then because you're knowing it now. And it's like that bubble pops and then you're like, you can remember it, but it's like you read about it. It's like it's not, you're not a marionette to it anymore. You're not the puppet to that thing anymore because now it has disappeared. And so that's why it can permanently clear trauma, which, talk therapy still hasn't had a lot of success, or, the amount that you have to repeat the things for it to have an impact. And Gary Craig, gave examples that in 3 sessions, like 3 2-hour sessions, he healed Vietnam vets that had, for the last 50 years, had PTSD. Wow. Like, went through everything, and they were like, I've had nightmares the last 40 years, and now I sleep through the night. So it's like, it's that fast, and that's why I think it's beautiful that it's so effective. And so, yeah, going back to the parents being able to surrogate tap, or if their child is, open to it, the parent can have the child in their lap and like tap on them, and it's just say the things like, here's, even though you have this, what's it called? Booby?
Boo-boo?
Boo-boo. You're still a good kid. Like, say that, I'm still a good kid, or even though I was scared. And so you're going to work with your child however way, if they can say it, or you have them hold a bear. And then, and I think even Brad Yates made like a tapping bear that had the points on it. So that the kid the kid's doing it to the bear, but then he's doing it to himself because he's saying all the things he really means. So he's surrogately tapping on himself.
One thing you did mention is that you have also tapped on inanimate objects, such as something in nature, or can you give us an example of how that works? Like Dr. Emoto's work kind of comes to mind with that.
Yeah. Well, one was my cell phone dropped in a puddle when I got out of the car, and then I went to a sauna for 2 hours, come back, and I'm like, where's my phone? I'm like, oh, it's been in this puddle for 2 hours. And I'm like, and I just like, I couldn't afford to not have that phone at that time. And so I was like tapping on my phone because I heard about it. I'm like, why not? And sure enough, the next, and I have like, I release energy through burping, yawning. You know, we all have different ways of what I call like a benchmark of like, oh, that thing you've been holding just moved. And then it makes me burp. And I know like, okay, we just cleared so much stuff. And so my phone was making me burp. So I'm like, okay, maybe it worked. And the next morning it just went on. And so I have gotten involved with the California group of the Dr. Emoto team and legacy holders and some of his oldest students. And somehow, since living in Manchester, I've been going to Clear Lake a lot, which is California's largest lake and one of the most toxic lakes in America. And so I'm like, you know, I've been a water protector pretty much since I can remember. And I've been tapping for 20 years. And I'm like, I know about the inanimate object things. Like I've definitely, you can tap on your car. I've had friends like start their cars again. And, you know, it's like it's really like the power of intention in a way. It's like you're just rewiring the field by having a new idea. We abandon things so quickly without like, oh, let me pray for this working right now. So it's in a way just like praying for what you want to experience. And so the field responds. And so here I am at Clear Lake. I tested for some vibrational flower essences. And I'm like, this is this huge lake. Like I'm going to put two drops of this flower in here and it's really going to make a difference. I'm like, I don't know. But then I was like, why don't I tap on the water? I mean, we're like 80% water. Why not? And I just like offered the flower essences and went over and tapped on the body. And it was like, I just almost knew exactly because of the flowers it tested for. I knew what it was balancing. So I'm like, oh, I'll know what to clear here. And I did do a tapping. And so there is just energetically such an instant call and response that you know that your good intention is uplifting the field. So even if I'm not going to have a chemistry set right away and prove it, we are working with someone who's doing some testing measurements on it, and they could see that there was a radical shift after we were there. And mind you, no one watched me do it. I did it alone, but at least I took the initiative and the curiosity and the innocence. And I think that's when you don't have an agenda like to prove it or whatever, it works. But they also say like if two or more are gathered, you know, or three, that it is also nice to have that witness and all the eyes on it. So since my initial time 4 years ago, I've done it in bigger groups, usually balanced with the masculine feminine presence. And then a few weeks ago, I went on a boat and did this whole thing there. And it's like really intense because these waters are being violated and poisoned. And so you really have to address these strong feelings and forgiveness and be open because this is Mother Nature, you know? And so I wanted to bring in water because I couldn't believe that I had a blind side to something that was right in front of me. And since then, I've tapped on every lake I'm at and giving thanks to waters and adding special waters and others' waters and restructuring them. And, you know, I think the more we pay attention to our environment, our body's always listening, you know, and we're changing our vibration by even having the intention to interact and uplift nature or our environment. So I just wanted to inspire others to do whatever they can, even if they're standing at the ocean, you know, it all makes a difference.
Well, so here's the thing. I really feel like, yes, we have created this AI coach so that people have access to this, you know, when maybe they're in a bind somewhere and there is no one to co-regulate with. I do always really appreciate the people who are really, like, I consider you a master of EFT. And because you are, sometimes you say something as a follow-up to tap on that I wouldn't have even thought of. And that's really so useful when you're trying to kind of clear it all. You're like, I don't want any residue left in here. Like, let's scrape it all out.
Right. And like I always say with facilitation, you can always go deeper when you're working with another human. So the idea with Zia is, in that moment where you're having that heightened emotion or something's really triggering you, she gets you from that moment of escalation to calm and regulate so you can get to that human help.
Yeah. Wow. That's what people need because they're too ashamed to reach out. And yeah.
So should we go through a tapping exercise?
We should.
Would you like to give us an example of something that you would like to tap on?
I really honestly think the snakes thing is not bad because anyone could enter in their spider. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm ready for her not to be terrified of snakes.
Well, it's funny because that actually came up in the inner child work. So there's been a couple times where it came up where I was having, somebody was intuiting this point where I was in like second grade and I'd been bullied in some way. And I'm like, I remember being bullied my whole life. And then it was brought back to me of I was holding a snake and it peed on me and all the kids laughed at me.
Oh, so you have a very specific root cause, and it now shows up as you being afraid of snakes.
I'm terrified of them.
Like, are they going to chase you?
It's going to startle
Are they going to eat you?
They're going to jump out and startle me and bite me and kill me.
So it was the snake's fault that it garnered you some maybe unwanted attention?
Maybe, and what's interesting is it came into being afraid to be seen. Like, if I put myself out there, then people are going to laugh at me.
Wow, that's interesting. See, right there, you're already followed, like, the roots. So
I guess.
So
like,
you would almost...
It still doesn't piece together for me that that's why I'm terrified of snakes. Mm-hmm. It's so much of a scare thing, like a jump out at me, or I'm not going to see it coming, or it's going to maybe chase me and bite me, or, you know.
Yeah, no,
I had so many of them are poisonous that I think it's that fear of death too that's coming in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Survival.
Survival.
Yeah. I just think it would be fun for us to blanket, maybe not get into your origin because that is specific, but then that means you totally can clear it. But I think it would be fun as a group thing because we all have that irrational terror of something. You know, I mean, even if we've been over it, we probably still have something. And for some, it could be fear of the dark even, or even of dogs, you know? I mean, so yeah, let's just see what comes out. And so I'll say it and then you guys repeat. And then if whoever is listening, if you want to enter in instead of snake, whatever it is you're terrified of, you know, some people it can just be like the robber that's just waiting behind the tree all the time. Like it's the same as the snake that can just jump out or feeling unsafe. So this is again where I'm not gonna do like a lot of sequencing. We could like just tap on our chest or where you might be feeling if you think about your fear of snakes. We're gonna use fear of snakes as the title, but you could say fear of. So let's just say it out loud. This fear of snakes.
This fear of snakes.
I am so sorry.
I am so sorry.
I'm terrified.
I'm terrified.
I don't even want to think about it right now.
I don't even want to think about it right now.
Snakes.
Snakes.
I hate them.
I hate them.
Snakes.
Snakes.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Snakes.
Snakes.
Where are you?
Where are you?
Snakes.
Snakes.
I never want to see you again.
I never want to see you again.
Ever.
Ever.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I am so afraid of snakes.
I am so afraid of snakes.
I am so ready to resolve this fear.
I
am so ready to resolve this fear.
They're just one creature on our earth.
They're just one creature on our earth.
It's not out to get me.
It's not out to get me.
Snakes do not want me dead.
Snakes do not want me dead.
Snakes aren't looking for me.
Snakes aren't looking for me.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even with this terror.
Even with this terror.
Fear of snakes.
Fear of snakes.
I hate you, snakes.
I hate you, snakes.
Don't ever show yourself to me.
Don't ever show yourself to me.
I love and forgive myself.
I love and forgive myself.
Even though I have this irrational fear.
Even though I have this irrational fear.
Take a deep breath. So the I'm so sorry, I've added that in my evolution because it really is giving empathy to our inner child. The child never got that actual empathy. Like, unless you did. But,
we did.
Like, I'm so
Projected
sorry
moms.
you're afraid of this thing. I know it looks scary. Like, no one's, it's just like, get over it, So we really have, I have a backlog of needing to hear. Like, I'm so sorry. Terrorized for so long. So let's just do one more round of releasing this fear. So tap on top of the head. I am safe to release the origin story
I am safe to release the origin story
of my fear of snakes
of my fear of snakes
and all that it means for me.
and all that it means for me.
I'm so ready
I'm so ready
to go from fear
to go from fear
and resistance
and resistance
to curiosity.
to curiosity.
Why is this happening?
Why is this happening?
Poor snakes.
Poor snakes.
They're just doing their thing.
They're just doing their thing.
They're not designed to attack me.
They're not designed to attack me.
Dear snakes,
Dear snakes,
I am so open
I am so open
to you revealing
to you revealing
what your divine medicine is,
what your divine medicine is,
so I can reframe your role
so I can reframe your role
and your presence
and your presence
in my life.
in my life.
Thank you, snakes,
Thank you, snakes,
for teaching me already.
for teaching me already.
Take a deep breath. Inside the eyebrow, I am safe to release this fear now.
I am safe to release this fear now.
I'm way bigger than any of these snakes,
I'm way bigger than any of these snakes,
at least here in California.
at least here in California.
Side of the eye. And by the way, this using the setup statement, I am safe to release, is actually one of the big hacks to do when you're in deep trauma. With a big T, and you were asking. So even working with your child or your pets or yourself, just the phrasing of I'm safe to release this fear now is really potent. I'm safe to release this fear now.
I'm safe to release this fear now.
Under the eye. What if the snake is actually my ally?
What if the snake is actually my ally?
Under the nose. Thank you, snake,
Thank you, snake,
for teaching me new things.
for teaching me new things.
Under the lips. Thank you, snake.
Thank you, snake.
My nervous system is regulating
My nervous system is regulating,
so that the next time I see a stick,
so the next time I see a stick,
I see a stick.
I see a stick.
Top of the chest. Take a deep breath. What if I can admire snakes from afar?
What if I can admire snakes from afar?
I don't have to touch them.
I don't have to touch them.
I don't have to handle them.
I don't have to handle them.
But what if they're cool?
But what if they're cool?
But what if they're cool?
Hey, snake.
Hey, snake.
I think you're becoming one of my power totems now.
I think you're becoming one of my power totems now.
I never saw that coming.
I never saw that coming.
Thank you, snake,
Thank you, snake.
I'm choosing
I'm choosing
to step into balance
to step into balance
with my relationship with snakes now.
with my relationship to snakes now.
I'm choosing
I'm choosing
to be in peace
to be in peace
when I think about snakes now.
when I think about snakes now.
Snakes,
Snakes,
fear.
fear.
Snakes,
Snakes,
peace.
peace.
Snakes,
Snakes,
love.
love.
I am peaceful
I am peaceful
in my relationship
in my relationship
with snakes now.
with snakes now.
I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
with or without this fear
with or without this fear
of snakes.
of snakes.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
Take a deep breath. That's a good sign.
Who knew that you would clear your fear of snakes in the year of the snake?
Right on time.
Exactly.
I wonder if Zia would want to give advice on anything else around.
I would be interested to know if there was something that snakes represent. You know what I
They
mean?
represent power
A lot of things.
and transformation.
Transformation, Kundalini rising, transmutation, rebirth.
It's all of these things that I go, oh, I'm supposed to make friends with.
Yeah, no, I've been there. It's my life animal totem, and I was terrified of them my whole life. So I know the feeling. So I have a question. What are the 3 main fears around snakes that I need to clear? Something like that?
Hello, Zia. Can you tell us the 3 main fears around snakes?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to share. And just know there's no judgment here. Fears are such a natural part of being human. So when it comes to snakes, a lot of people have a few core fears. One big one is simply the fear of the unknown or unpredictable movement. Snakes move in ways that can feel very different from other animals, and that can be unsettling. Another common fear is the fear of being harmed. Many people worry about venom or bites, even if the snake isn't actually dangerous. And a third fear is often rooted in cultural stories or conditioning. Snakes have been symbols of danger in a lot of myths and media, which can shame our fear. I hope that helps shed a little light. And if you're curious about anything else, just let me know.
Did any of that hit home for you?
The first 2, for sure.
So if somebody wanted to use emotional freedom technique to tap on their fear of snakes, what would you recommend that they tap about?
Absolutely. We can explore that together. And it makes total sense that those first couple of fears resonated with you. Now, if you're interested in using EFT tapping for this fear, we can definitely do that. Let's start gently. First, I'd suggest tapping on the belief that feels the most intense. Maybe something like, even though I have this fear of snakes because they're unpredictable, I deeply love and accept myself. We tap gently through the points and just let your body release a little of that tension. And once we've gone through a round or 2, we can check in. Does that feel like something you'd like to explore more?
That's great. Thank you, Zia.
You're so welcome. Remember, just taking these small steps and tapping into your own self-acceptance is already a beautiful act of courage. And if you ever want to go a bit further or need another gentle tool, just let me know. You're doing great.
Yay.
I love her.
All right, Veruschka, that was amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I feel like not only did you give us so much wisdom, but there were some practical tools for people to take with them, which is really all we want. We want to demystify the mystical and
Make it more practical.
and make it more practical. Ooh, that's
Practical magic.
Yes, because the goal is we want to make these tools as most accessible to everyone, but we want them to buy in. We don't want them to go, oh, okay, yeah, and then walk away. We want them to actually try to use it.
And you won't know until you try.
Absolutely. So can you tell people where to find you? Obviously, all of your contact information will be in our show notes as well. Social media, website, all of those different things, and how you usually work with people.
I do one-on-one sessions over the phone or Zoom, which if you're starting out, Zoom is pretty helpful. And then you can also have your video or your recording after. I have several free tapping sessions on my YouTube channel, and If you go to my Instagram, roseyoga.official, the link tree has like everything you could want as far as like taking you to the free tapping. I have interviews. I like to talk about energy medicine and just about psychospiritual topics, and also open to hosting if you're involved in any groups, like hosting a group experience. It can be on Zoom as well, which we've even done for Zsuzsi.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's expand our consciousness in ways that we can all uplift and up-level together.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in this sacred circle.
If today's conversation moved something in you, share it, journal it, or bring it into your next moment of love.
And remember, you're not alone. Z is here to support your journey anytime you need her.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and stay true.
With love, always.